All right, welcome aboard, everybody. Happy Monday. Nothing like a little NFL music to kick off your Monday. Today's Manchild Show with Boy Green digital episode brought to you by our friends at Crest Cadillac. Crest Cadillac down on West Genesee Street down there in Old Automobile Row, where you can get some lovely Cadillacs, sporty ones, big ones. You want an Escalade? I guess you could go up there. We got plenty of NFL players that love the Cadillac Escalade. Go see our friends at Crest Cadillac today. We will have more from our friends at Crest Cadillac a little later in the broadcast. But let's get it kicked off here on a Monday morning. Boy Green, how are you today as we get ready to rock and roll through another live show?
I am doing a spectacular, Lerch. It's great to be here for another Monday. Now we're in full. Again, the Jets just had their first padded training camp practice today, so the Jets are fired up. The rest of the NFL's getting fired up, and it's getting pretty exciting.
All right, so it's real and it's spectacular. All right, that's nice to know. All right, anyway, yeah, you get that line, Boy Green. All right, well, I want to kick it off by talking about NFL training camps, and there are a lot of interesting stories kicking off here on a Monday that have happened over the last couple of days. One of them is a fascinating little fun story. I think it's kind of fun, and that is Aaron Rodgers, as we know, a former Jet, now with the Steelers, trying to get in that last one, push the sun back up into the sky one more time as a quarterback in the NFL. And he's getting his shot with the Steelers. And Terry Bradshaw, who is always very outspoken, the longtime Steeler quarterback turned broadcaster, had some very, very harsh words for Aaron Rodgers. This was prior to Rodgers
officially signing with
the Steelers. So the Steelers were looking at him, and Bradshaw was basically saying, stay away from this guy, all right? Yeah. Except he said a little bit more than that. You want to pull the quote? I know we don't have the quote verbally. We don't have the quote on audio,
yes,
but you can read the quote. And then we will play back. We do have the audio clip of Aaron Rodgers' response to the Terry Bradshaw thing, which I think might surprise a lot of people, how Aaron Rodgers handled this. But let's start with the venom, and then we'll work our way back. Go ahead.
Yeah, here's the one. He did a radio interview, so he said a lot of things, but this is the one that seems to have hit home the most.
Okay.
Is he said, stay in California, go somewhere and chew on bark and whisper to the gods out there. He also talked about the Steelers' even pursuit, because again, this is prior to them signing him. The pursuit of Aaron Rodgers, he called it a joke.
Okay, so Terry Bradshaw saying to the Steelers, don't waste your time with Aaron Rodgers, telling Aaron Rodgers go chew some bark and head back on out to California and drink some ayahuasca, and maybe do another dark retreat or something.
Sure.
Anyway, so he didn't want any part of it. All right.
Clearly not.
Aaron Rodgers, of course, is in training camp, and he's going to get interviewed. And he got interviewed. I think it was Kyle Brandt, right, that did the interview.
That's correct. Of Good Morning Football
on NFL Network. Bettis jersey. And Kyle Brandt interviewed him. And Rodgers had an interesting reply, not the one that I thought. You'd think Rodgers would fire back a bit, but actually he was pretty respectful. Let's take a listen to his comments, and then we'll talk about
it. Well, I whisper to the gods every single day.
Damn right.
I've known Terry for a long time, being a part of Fox. Terry's a legend. He's an absolute legend. He won 4 Super Bowls. He's had a legendary career in the media. But Terry, like a lot of people, doesn't know me. And so he's got an idea of what he thinks about me based on what I've done, the documentary, what I've said, Darkness Retreat, whatever the hell you want to talk about. I'd love to get to know Terry on a deeper level. And I feel like if he gave me a chance to get to know him, then we'd have a good friendship, because for me, I have nothing but the utmost amount of respect and deference for what the greats have done, because they laid the foundation for us to be able to play in this great game, to be paid like kings, and to carry on the tradition of excellence that guys like the Bradshaws of the world in the 70s, and Bart Starr in the 60s, and Lombardi, and Joe Montana, and Steve Young, and Troy Aikman, and Brett Favre, and all the greats that have been over, Tom Brady. We're standing on the backs of those guys, and it's because of how they played and how they carried themselves that we're able to have this opportunity to still play this great game, to get paid really well, to set ourselves up for our future. So I'd love to get to know Terry on a deeper level if he's open to it, and maybe we can go chew some bark or whatever the hell he's talking about together.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Maybe they can go chew some bark together. Interesting.
Yeah.
I think what's kind of fascinating about this to me, Boy Green, is the fact that Aaron Rodgers, really, regardless of what happens here with the Steelers, and regardless of the 2 years that he spent with the Jets that weren't all that successful, Aaron Rodgers is an all-time great himself. He's going to the Football Hall of Fame. He'll be regarded as an all-time great. Some people will put him in their top 5, 6 quarterbacks of all time. I wouldn't have a problem necessarily with that for people that believe that. I mean, he was and has been an incredibly effective NFL quarterback. So he didn't have to play nice with Terry Bradshaw, but he did. What do you make of it? You had him in your camp for 2 years. Is this out of character, in character? What's your thoughts on what Aaron Rodgers said here?
I will just say this. Obviously, Terry Bradshaw, I think, has the perspective that a lot of people do. I'll categorize the majority as a lot of people, and I'll explain. Is that we hear Aaron Rodgers. Like, Aaron Rodgers has only been on 3 teams: the Green Bay Packers, the New York Jets, and now the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the majority of the NFL does not know anything about Aaron Rodgers outside of what he portrays. Okay, he's really good at throwing the football. All right. And then there's all this other stuff of interviews, ayahuasca, darkness retreats, and there's this enigma that is Aaron Rodgers, but people just read all these headlines about him, go, wow. And some of his opinions that are non-football related, we'll try to avoid any of those on the show. And there's just a lot to Aaron Rodgers. So I could understand how someone reads headlines and things and has a certain perspective about Aaron Rodgers. But I would say this, and I think I'm the perfect person to sort of talk about this, is that I had all of those kind of thoughts about Aaron Rodgers. Like, who is this crazy, besides the football, obviously, who the hell is this crazy bastard? And then all of a sudden you turn around and you get a chance to sort of see him in camp. Again, he gets traded to the Jets. I get him for 2 years of, and to give a full perspective here, on top of being a diehard Jets fan, I've covered Aaron Rodgers from afar in this digital world. So I had to listen to Aaron Rodgers every week on Pat McAfee for 90 minutes. He spoke 3 times to the media each week. So I heard more Aaron Rodgers than I've ever heard in my life. And when you get to, and podcast interviews and all this other stuff, when you get to know Aaron Rodgers, he is this football historian they just sort of portrayed there in the answers. Bart Starr of the 60s, Terry Bradshaw of the 70s, Troy Aikman in the 90s. He is a big champion of the history of the game. He cares about that kind of stuff. But there's also a deeper person in there that, to be candid, I had no idea who that was until he was traded to the team. So it's an awesome answer from Aaron. I'm not surprised by that answer based on the experience that Jet fans got over the last 2 years. But I mean, he's right. And maybe, both can be right. Terry Bradshaw's like, who the hell is this guy? And the Steelers sort of have this elitist mentality of like, hey, we're the Steelers. Either you want to play for us or don't, because there was this dance for months about whether or not he was going to come and if he wanted to come and all these other things. I think 2 things can be true. Terry and all the people that don't know Aaron Rodgers' perspective outside of him, and then the other side of Aaron saying, hey, get to know me, and maybe we could go chew some bark together and be a different thing.
And Bradshaw pointing out, literally said, I know Terry, and then says, but he doesn't know me. But I think what he's talking about there, to put some, take it away from the literal and put it into the figurative, is, he knows of Terry's greatness. He knows how important Terry Bradshaw is to Steelers lore, to Steelers fans. And he's trying to play nice in the stand, dare I say. He's trying to be a bit of a good guy. He's trying to say, hey, look, he said some kind of nasty things about me, but I'm not going to play in the dirt. This guy is,
take the high road.
This guy's a good dude. I'm going to take the high road. So I kind of, it surprises me a little bit that Aaron went that direction. Maybe it shouldn't, because again, I'm not an Aaron Rodgers study like you are. You spent 2 years literally studying the guy. I tried to look the other way usually when Aaron Rodgers speaks. I usually, wince my eyes and look the other way. But I do not like that he seems to have an opinion about everything all the time. And a lot of times I don't agree with his opinions. I guess that's where I stand with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. And I would also say this, the show that I watch with my dad because again, as a football fan, before I ever got into this profession, I watched football every Sunday with my dad. And the show we watched was NFL on Fox, which had Terry Bradshaw, Kurt Menefee, Michael Strahan, Jay Glazer, Howie Long, the whole team over there of guys, Jimmy Johnson on the set. And I got to see a lot of Terry Bradshaw. And I love that pregame show to this day, even though now the lines are sort of, breaking down. Lerch, it used to be Fox were NFC teams, CBS was AFC teams. Now those lines have sort of been broken down and they don't exist in the same way. But I would watch a Fox pregame show, then go jump over to my Jet stuff. And Terry is not afraid, especially with his age. It's only maybe that's what it is for everybody, Lurch. We lose our filter the older we get, and then we just say what's on the mind. So Terry has always loudly expressed his opinions when he's doing that, Lurch. So I do want to circle back, though, to, since we're talking Steelers, what are your expectations for Aaron Rodgers? I mean, this is a guy that claims this is his last year, although Omar Khan, the Steelers general manager, joined Rich Eisen last week, and he said, hey, I'm not closing the door on this being it for Aaron Rodgers. We're totally, I'm not closing anything. Hey, he wants to come back next year. Let's go. So we'll see if something changes based on whatever the results are. But what are your expectations for Aaron Rodgers with the Steelers team that's clearly going all in with all the moves they've made?
Well, what's fascinating to me is I think my expectations are similar to when he first came to the Jets 2 years ago. This kind of, this could get interesting. This could be cool. This guy could, lift this team in some way. So I was very optimistic when Rodgers came into the fold with the Jets, and then obviously very pessimistic by the time he left because it just really never turned into much. I mean, even looking at those last few games where he started to kind of show some of the skills, still like, but maybe there is this thing about recovering from a big-time injury. The injury that he incurred with the Jets on that third snap of his career with the Jets was a debilitating injury and one that takes a long time to recover from. It seemed like he really pushed to get back on the field. So maybe we haven't seen what's still left in this tank, if indeed anything is left in this tank. So there's kind of an optimistic viewpoint. But then there's the old father time. He's like 41, I think now, going to be 42.
41 will be 42 in December.
So he's going to be 42 at some point during the season. He father time catches up with everyone. And I think that the Steelers have a major problem that really could crop up very early in this Rodgers career. And that is their offensive line is not very good. And when you have an aging quarterback like that, the one thing you need to do is protect. And if they can't protect Rodgers, either he's going to get hurt again or he's just going to be the guy that throws the ball away too quickly. He's just going to get rid of it, and he's not going to be able to hit those timing routes. So I have some concerns about their offensive line, which may disable him from, Rodgers from having a good stint with the Steelers. I do like that they added some weapons. I think Pickens was a very kind of mercurial guy, and I think Metcalf is a more stable guy. So I think that helps. And I do have a lot of faith in the coaching of Mike Tomlin. So, I'm kind of like modestly optimistic about what Rodgers will do with the Steelers. I don't know if I'm really answering your question there or not.
Definitely not, but that's okay.
How many wins do I think they're going to get? Is that what you're looking for?
Well, if you're looking for that, the Vegas over-under is 8.5, which makes sense because Tomlin has been over 500, which obviously 9 wins would be over 500 in the 17-game format, as it was in the past. So, yes, that's the Vegas number.
I'll take 9.
Okay, I'm taking the under. I think this is going to be the first sub-500 season of Mike Tomlin's career. And it's Aaron Rodgers. I'm not sure what to believe. You mentioned the offensive line. Broderick Jones, he is a pair of saloon doors there on the offensive line. He is a traffic cone that I think is going to cause all kinds of issues for the Steelers, and they can try to reshuffle anything on the deck that they want to. I think that offensive line is going to be, the Debbie Downer of all this. They got a lot of talent on the team, obviously. Mike Tomlin's a really good coach, so maybe they can overcome the deficiencies that appear to be on this roster. But regardless, it's going to be fascinating. Aaron Rodgers also talked about, he did about a 10-minute interview with Kyle Brandt. He talked about the schedule that's coming up, Lurch. He's got all these friggin' revenge games left to right. Green Bay, the Jets, players on the Steelers, right? Like DK Metcalf going against his old team in Seattle, them playing Miami is going to be on so there's a lot of these revenge games here. So it looks like a great farewell tour.
Well, Taylor's jumping in here saying DK does not replace Pickens, not the caliber player. DK is a better player than George Pickens.
Yeah.
Boy Green, you agree with me on that one? I'm not even going to, I don't even think it's close.
Yeah, I think DK is a better player than Pickens. Now, again, I think that while, again, there's a lot of baggage that comes with Pickens, and that seems to be the reason why they parted ways. Omar Khan would not expound upon that during his interview on the Rich Eisen show when he said, hey, Rich was like, hey, why'd you get rid of Pickens? It was time for a fresh start for both of us. So he just sort of made it very cut and dry there. I think Pickens is going to have a lot of success, quite frankly, with the Dallas Cowboys, but we'll see. I just don't think he's on the DK level. I don't think DK's as great as we thought he was going to be in college, to be honest with you. So
I know,
like,
because he's a freak athlete. Everybody loves
is.
DK because he's an absolute
Yeah.
freak athlete. It kind of reminds me in a different way of who's the defensive player that played in Carolina, right? Played for South Carolina.
Oh, Jadeveon Clowney.
Clowney was a freak in college. People were like,
Mhm.
oh, when I watched him play, I was like, this guy's the next Lawrence Taylor. This guy is going to just blow up offensive guards and tackles. They're not going to be able to stop this guy. And then he just kind of was, he had a very good NFL career, lasted a long time, but he did not have a great NFL career. He certainly didn't have a Hall of Fame NFL career. So DK is the same thing. He's just a freak in college. And everybody that sees him in practice, sees him do the things that he can do, like goes, whoa. And then you play in the games and it just kind of blends. I don't know. He's just,
like, look at this.
He's a very good player, but he's not an elite player, I guess.
Right. On our screen, you see A.J. Brown on your left and DK Metcalf on your right. Obviously, he's
chiseled. I mean,
that is ridiculous.
Physical experiment.
And I will tell you, last season, me and my dad, because my dad lives in Atlanta for some of his jobs, we went to randomly a Falcon Seahawks game just because it was in town. And DK last season was on the Seattle Seahawks, and we got there early and got to see DK warm up. And I'm just like, this is look at God's gift. Look at the body he gave this guy, the speed, the power, the everything. It's absolutely ridiculous. But despite all of this incredible physique that you see before you, he is not among the top 3 best receivers in football. He's not among the top 5. I don't even know if he's among the top 10. He's really talented, but he hasn't seized that potential. We'll see if maybe he can finally do it with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Well, looks like he's got an 8-pack instead of a 6-pack.
That is. I got to count those out. That is very impressive.
Mama. All right. So, all right. Rodgers, Bradshaw. We'll see how it all settles. I mean, obviously the play on the field is what's going to make the difference here for Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh camp. And I'll tell you what, I've got several friends in Pittsburgh, Boy Green. So in the next 2 weeks or so, we'll get a Pittsburgh training camp update and how is it going? What's the chemistry like? So on and so forth. So, but I suspect we're going to get a lot of optimism out of Pittsburgh camp. Now, whether it will result in 9 or 10 wins as I'm proposing, or less than 8 or less as Boy Green is proposing, I guess we will find out.
Hey, Lerch, let's stay in the AFC North. Bradshaw says, why are you wearing Bengals gear, Manchild? So this is something, and there's a lot of things in my life, Lerch, that when we do shows, I know I have to explain all the time moving forward. Like, it's just going to be a constant, like people say, oh, how you a Jets fan and a Red Sox fan? Well, let me tell you, to grab a seat, Johnny, come around the campfire. Let me explain that my family was from this and this and this and this. I'm going to have to explain that for the rest of my life. One of the things you will likely have to explain, Lerch, is your fashionista stuff here.
Correct.
That this will not be the last time that you're wearing gear that does not seem, along with everything. Correct. So I guess let's just get into it.
You see Malik Neighbors.
I do, the LSU jersey.
Right?
Very nice.
Getting better. That's the LSU Malik jersey. And as you all know, I am a Giants fan, and I will not hide my Giants fandom ever. But I am. Boy Green says it well. There is a fashionista part of me, and I am not a wear only one laundry kind of guy. Like, I love the powder blues of the LA Chargers, all right, formerly the San Diego Chargers. Like, I think it's the best uniform in all of sports. So I have a beautiful LaDainian Tomlinson powder blue, and I will wear that to anything. It's just a really nice.
True. It's a great jersey.
It's a great jersey. It's just an awesome jersey. It doesn't matter whether I love or don't love Tomlinson, who I do actually kind of respect and
Hall of Famer, sure,
LT, tremendously. So number one, I'm a fashionista. I also do have lots of players, and I think we all should. I mean, do we all just only have to love our own players? Do I just have to only love, Malik Neighbors and other Giant players? To be a Thibodeau guy, do I have to? Are those the only guys I can love, or can I, dare I say, love Joe Burrow, whose jersey number I'm wearing today?
Another number 9.
Joe Burrow is right up there. He might be. I probably need to think through this a little bit, but he is definitely one of my top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's one of my favorite quarterbacks. I just love the way he plays the game of football. As a matter of fact, I just finished up the second season of Quarterback, the documentary.
What a series.
And Burrow is excellent in it. Excellent. And you really kind of get to see the behind the scenes. Again, Kirk Cousins is in it again. Cousins is, I love Kirk Cousins.
He's interesting.
I couldn't stand Kirk Cousins until that series came out. Now he's in both seasons, season 1 and season 2. He's such a likable guy. I mean, even when he's failing, you have to say,
you feel for him.
You feel for him. He works so hard. His whole life he is dedicated to football.
He's a dad,
and he's a good dad, and he's, he seems like a good family man.
He's got this dad thing about him, like he's goofy,
like that.
The clothes he wears, how he sort of portrays himself. He's just kind of this lame dad. There's a lot there.
So one of the things our digital viewers will have to get used to is you never know what I'm walking in with. Okay. This guy, every single day what he's walking in with. He's going to have some piece of green on him. Okay. I am totally an equal opportunity guy. I'm always looking to expand my wardrobe to other teams.
You like dating around, Lerch.
I love the specialty jerseys sometimes, like the City Connects, like one of my favorite baseball jerseys. Maybe since it's summertime, at some point I'll wear it on one of our broadcasts. Is my Boston Red Sox yellow and blue City Connects? Nice. Completely not the colors of the Red Sox, and I have the powder blue hat as well to go with it. So I'm a fashion person. I also love players. And so I will wear stuff because of players, and I will wear stuff just because I like the logo. I like the look of it. I like the color. It's something I don't have in my closet kind of thing. So you better get used to it with me. Sometimes there's a rhyme and a reason, and I'm wearing Joe Burrow because I want to talk about Joe Burrow, but that is not one of those days today.
Hey, one follow-up. Jamie the FedEx guy asked on YouTube, Manchild wants the Burrow Jays combo in fantasy football. Is that true or false?
Oh, God. Number one, it'd be a nice combination. I have had the Chase Burrow combination in one of my championship years. Chase Burrow helped win me one of the leagues. So
thanks for bringing that up.
About that. But I traded to get Chase. I had Burrow and I traded to get Chase late in the season. That was a big, big trade for me, and it paid off huge in the playoffs. That was the year that I beat you, right? That was the crazy.
Yeah, it is. Thank you for bringing that up. 200 plus points.
Jamar Chase had like a 60-point day or something in that championship.
Crazy how that happened.
Oh my God, he could have won it for me on my own. But Jamie loves to talk fantasy football, so I won't criticize him for that. But he loves to try and get in the minds of people all the time. Jamie, note to self: you'll never get in my mind, ever, never. You hear me, man? You will never get inside my mind. Okay. It's a scrambled mess in there. You don't want to be inside there, first of all.
That's probably true. But
it would be a nice combo, but everything is what the draft gives you. I'm picking third.
Let the draft fall to you.
Take Jamar Chase with the first pick.
Sure, maybe.
But I'm not getting no Chase Burrow combo. All right. So it would be nice, but I'm not overextending myself to get either player. If either player falls to me at the right moment, then I would consider taking the player. For instance, if Jamar Chase were available at 3, I might pick him. Will I pick him? Maybe.
Okay.
There's the answer to your question.
Not even a lot.
Maybe.
I will say this just because fantasy came up. For all the new people that are coming to the channel, again, we're streaming live right now on the Boy Green YouTube channel, the Manchild Show Boy Green digital YouTube channel, and on Facebook, the Manchild Show Boy Green digital. We do weekly fantasy football conversations with fantasy football expert Joe Bartle of RotoWire.com. It's live every Friday at 10:30. So if you guys want to ask your fantasy football questions, even if you're not in one of our digital leagues, even if you're not, you can ask questions yourself. So make sure you guys take full advantage of that. And Lerch, because we're streaming in all these places, now's probably a better time than any. We hit a bit of a milestone over the weekend.
Yes, fantastic, and it's all about you guys, and that's what's so cool about it. I love to give credit where credit is due, but we've only been on the air, literally, kind of really doing this in earnest, a month, and we've reached 20,000 views. We just passed 20,000 views, so bravo! Thank you so much. More than a golf clap for you guys. And we're constantly trying to up our subscribers. All right, we started at 0 subscribers, and we're making our way into the hundreds. As a matter of fact, I'll pull this out right away, Boy Green. All right, we are having a giveaway right now. All right, and it is for this lovely framed David Tyree. The Catch, autographed by Tyree. It has the Super Bowl number on it, and obviously his number and his autograph. All right, I'm trying to get it as best I can for you guys to see it as best as possible. It's reflecting on
that's
my
beautiful.
Life. All right.
Yeah.
the frame and everything, it's matted. It's been sitting on my wall. I want it off my wall and onto your wall somewhere at home. So if you are, a Giants fan or just a fan of memorabilia and having iconic moments, that iconic moment in the Super Bowl, one of the greatest of all time, no matter what fan you are, unless you're a Patriots fan, I guess. Anyway, so once we get to 300 subscribers, which we only need about 120 more subscribers, I'm going to give that away to one of those 300 people who were the first 300 to subscribe. And then after that, there's going to be several other items. These are all items that were sitting on the walls of our radio studio. So essentially, we're giving away some of our history. We've got Jim Boeheim posters, really cool stuff, and some other ditties that I'm going to throw into the well. So the first one to go out the door is this David Tyree picture. And so if you know anybody or you're not a subscriber yet yourself, subscribe, be one of the first 300 so you can get in on the free raffle, so to speak, and win that David Tyree, or have a chance to win that David Tyree framed picture. Very, very cool.
100%. And again, it motivates you to get other people to subscribe, because the quicker we get to 300, the quicker we give it away.
Correct.
So people, make sure you get your friends, family, and everybody to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be talking all kinds of sports all year long, but we will have a primary focus on the National Football League for all you big NFL fans out there, which should be a lot of fun, Lerch.
And again, today's broadcast brought to you by our friends at Crest Cadillac down on East Genesee Street. Let's just take a moment, Boy Green, and hear a little bit more from our friends at Crest Cadillac.
Cadillac certified pre-owned vehicles, exclusively available in Central New York at your participating Cadillac dealer, Crest Cadillac. Each one must meet high standards and receives a 172-point inspection, along with a 1-year unlimited mile warranty after the original warranty expires. Come into Crest Cadillac in Syracuse today for exceptional offers on Cadillac certified pre-owned models. CrestCadillac.com.
All right, we are back, Boy Green. I want to talk about some training camps. We're going to have some experts coming up in the upcoming weeks. We really, really specialize in Giants, Jets, and Bills, and we have insiders, different insiders that will rotate for all three teams, and we'll get some inside training camp updates. Boy Green and I are actually headed down to a training camp practice in a couple of weeks. We're going to go see the Jets and the Giants scrimmage down at the little complex outside of MetLife. And so we'll be doing that in a couple of weeks, and we'll report back on that as well. But we do reach out to our insiders. I mentioned I'll try and see if I can get somebody from the Steelers world, since I know quite a few people out there. We'll check around. We're also good buddies with Anish Shroff, who is the voice of the Carolina Panthers. So maybe we'll get a little bit of an update on Bryce Young and how things are going in Camp Carolina. So all that you can look forward to as we're rolling through this exciting time, which is training camps in the NFL. So I want to bounce around with the New York teams, Boy Green, get a little quick report on each one. The first one I'm going to discuss with you is the Bills, because they've got some specialty cameras coming to their training camp, and we'll check in with Sal Capaccio and our other insiders. We have some terrific people that work alongside the Bills and cover them for media. Hard Knocks is in Buffalo. Those cameras are already rolling, Boy Green. Episode 1 is next Tuesday, the 5th of August.
Yeah, it's a week from tomorrow. It's going to be great. I love watching Hard Knocks every year. I'm trying to get more accustomed to all the in-season Hard Knocks and these other versions that exist. But my favorite one is the training camp edition. That's the OG. That's the original. That's the classic storylines of underrated players that you start to root for on the bottom end of the roster that could make the top 53. So, yeah, the cameras are already rolling. I'm really excited. And boy, what better franchise than the Buffalo Bills, who obviously don't normally get attention based on, I don't know why. Maybe that's a deeper show podcast of why they don't get the attention of other teams despite being in New York themselves. Maybe it's just they're not called the New York Bills, but either way, they have the reigning MVP in Josh Allen, which is terrific. They've got this super talented team. They're going to be a fun watch on Hard Knocks, and they just have so many storylines with the Bosa injury, the James Cook holdout, hold in, everything that's going to be. Are they going to finally pay the man? So there's a lot of here and a lot of characters that I know on that Buffalo Bills roster, so it should be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating too, and there are some cool storylines. We're going to get a little bit more of an inside look at Josh Allen and his relationship with the team. And it's always good to see kind of how the coaches handle things. I'll be honest with you. We've been to Bills camp in the past. I have a ton of respect for Sean McDermott. I like the way he handles himself. I like the way he handles himself with the media. I like the way he handles himself on the practice field. I like the way he handles himself from everything that I can see. I can't say I know the guy personally. Off the field, he just really seems like an earnest guy. He's built something really, really sustainable up there in Buffalo. And sure, like any coach, he had to find the quarterback, but he did. He took a chance on Josh Allen. There were a lot of people going into that draft that weren't sure what Allen was going to be, wouldn't have touched him with a 10-foot pole. This guy took him, and he's turned out to be a superstar. And you always got to give a coach credit when he finds the quarterback of his dreams, and Buffalo has one with Josh Allen.
And Lerch, we may have to check back in to see if we could check in on Bills camp. They're at St. John Fisher, one of the there's only a handful. Latrobe, Pittsburgh's another one, obviously, that does the dorm room experience for training camp. A lot of them just do it in their multi-billion-dollar facilities, which, by the way, I don't necessarily blame them for, but maybe we got to do a check-in on Bills camp, too. That'd be fun this summer.
Yeah. It's not far. I mean, it's only, an hour and 15 for us?
Exactly, right, yeah. And we got all our Bills people over there, so we can
hop in a car, I guess, go over to Bills camp. We can do it. The camps are exciting. There's sure. It's just like baseball spring training. There's kind of a newness and a freshness, and it's like everyone's in it all of a sudden. Now sometimes it doesn't last very long, but at least when camp is going on, it feels like everyone's in it again. And you get these position battles and all this kind of fun. I really, really do enjoy it. All right, jumping from Bills, let's jump on over to this guy and my team. How about Jaxson Dart throwing darts, Boy Green?
Yeah, I'm going to throw this one up real quick. Art Stapleton said that Jaxson Dart by far had his best practice of training camp over the weekend, and he was looking spectacular, apparently. So I would just say this for the Giants, and I've said it for a while. I think the Giants' best plan of attack is taking their time. They've got this, all of these quarterbacks on the roster. Jameis Winston, obviously. They got Russell Wilson. They have Tommy DeVito, our boy, that's still over there as well. Take your time with Jaxson Dart. Develop him. I've never heard of some quarterback failing because he had too much time to develop, too much time to understand offenses and things. So I think that can only help Lerch. And here's this. I don't know if you saw this, Lerch, over the weekend, but old Jaxson Dart had quite the throw at the end of practice that it counted, didn't count. It depends on your perspective, I guess, Lerch. So I will pull this. Let me see this.
Got a piece of video about it?
Real quick and see. And here we go. Let's bring this up. This was a Jaxson Dart on a last play of practice here, getting to the end. Finds the intended target as he should have, right, Cam Scatterboo. Now, the ref said he was out, but some fans thought he got the tiptoe in on Scatterboo. I guess, Lerch, you be the judge here. You be the ref. It looks like the toe could be on the line.
It's on the line. It's on the line. He's out. Nice,
but what a catch, though. But what an attempt, rather, of trying to rein it in to get in there. Very nice, Cam Scatterboo, another favorite.
He's going to be a fan favorite, Scatterboo. He, the name, the effort, he's an all effort kind of guy. He's going to be a big hit with Giants fans.
And Lerch, to bring it all together, we had Solomon Wilcots on a few months ago, former Bengal. And then he said Cam Scatterboo was his favorite pick of the Giants, as we have over here on the screen. So there's a lot of connective tissue, Lerch.
A lot of connective tissue, as they say. Yes, there is. All right. So Jaxson Dart looking good in Giants camp. Also, I've been hearing tons and tons of good reports, Boy Green, about Abdul Carter and how he is dominating, unfortunately, that Giants offensive line. I know Andrew Thomas, thank you, is still not playing, still recovering from an injury. So they're missing arguably their best offensive lineman, but Abdul Carter seems to be having his way with the rest of those Giants offensive linemen. Good news for the Giants defense, maybe not such great news for the Giants offense. I'm not sure which way to go on this one.
See, that's what I was going to ask you. For instance, earlier today, Zach Wilson, because I can never get away from him. He's at Miami Dolphins camp. He has a real chance to be the QB2. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing Dolphins reporters going, woo, Zach Wilson lighting up the Dolphins secondary. If you're a Dolphins fan, do you feel good about that or bad about that?
I know.
Is Zach Wilson just suddenly great, or is your secondary terrible? So I'm sort of weighing the pros and cons because that's sort of the balance. I guess what you really want, Lerch, is wins on both sides. Sure. Defense wins sometimes, offense wins sometimes, as opposed to someone just straight up dominating.
Yeah. Look, it does go both ways, and I'm always have mixed thoughts about that, but sometimes in practice, I think the things we don't know, and sometimes when you see a Hard Knocks or something, we find out a little bit more, is sometimes, the offense knows what's going on and the defense is just reacting. Other times the defense knows what the offense is going to do. And then a defender looks great, but that's because he knew the play. So he knew exactly what the receiver was going to do. Of course, you can jump the route when you know the receiver is going to do the out and not do the up on you. So some of the things in training camp a lot of times can be a little fool's gold, dare I say. And you always have to keep in mind, too, that you're playing against your own team, you know.
That too. And I would also just say situationally, right? Sometimes the Jets didn't run this drill today, but sometimes they face 4th and 20s, convert. You're trying to do ridiculous plays that you wouldn't normally do. And then you have media members going, nice throw, Jack. And he's like, well, man, it was 4th and 20. It was a do or die situation. I did whatever I could. So there is balance. That's good context.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so there you go. Some intel on Giants camp. Boy Green, give us, dare I say, a little dirt on Jets camp. Let's walk our way through all 3 New York teams. What's the latest and the greatest going on in Jets camp? What are some good stories and some concerning stories there?
Yeah, the good news was Justin Fields' continued progression. We're continuing to see. So he gets hurt last week, injures the toe, carted off the field. Next day, he's running onto the practice field, but didn't participate in anything outside of just his own stuff. Then he was participating in individual drills, which are quarterback drills, and 7-on-7s. That's, just a passing camp, essentially, is what he was participating in. Today, we saw him in some 11-on-11 action. So, again, he's just, incrementally progressing throughout the process, which is what you love to see. And Aaron Glenn, Lerch, he's doing things that some other NFL teams around the league are not. He was doing live tackling drills, and there's a lot of teams that don't do that because they're afraid of the injuries. And Aaron Glenn, he just spoke before our show started. He said, you can't be afraid of injuries. Look at me. He was talking about that he had 13 players on injured reserve last year on his defense, 3 of which were some of the best players on his team. He says, we have to execute our practices, how it's going to be in the game. I can't tell them not to tackle in practice and then magically they're just going to figure out how to tackle during games. We need to practice what we preach, and that's it. So it was one of the most physical practices that has happened in some time, Lerch, today for the New York Jets. So seeing Justin Fields' progressions were nice. The physicality of camp is impressive. They had one injury. We'll get an update on that at a later time, but it was to an undrafted free agent player. Injuries are going to happen when the pads come on, but no, people seem to be really fired up about Aaron Glenn. But again, Lerch, we're going to have real football this week. The Hall of Fame game is this week, so it's our first preseason game. I believe that's on Thursday. Yep, the 31st. So we'll have our first preseason game. That means all the Hall of Fame ceremonies are coming up this weekend, and then everyone is in full flower for preseason games the following week, Lerch.
Wow. Football, it just comes like lightning. It just comes at us. And we get very engaged as fans as soon as camps start, and they are underway now for every team. And it moves from that to opening day like that. It's so amazing how quickly it all moves. So it's an exciting time of year, so we're still getting the 90-degree weather, but some even getting into the hundreds with these heat waves that are running across the nation. But football's heating up, and we're going to be in it big time. What is opening day officially, Boy Green? The Thursday night game?
I think it's Thursday, September 7th, but let me double check that to make sure I'm right.
Fantasy, football, obviously, if you're not already
September 4th, Thursday, September 4th.
So think about it. If you're not already starting to work on your fantasy roster right now, your fantasy charts, I should say, your draft depth charts, you're falling behind. Like, you got to get on it. I'm already like, oh my God, I got to get moving here.
Right.
The good thing is this time of year, there's so much content out there to digest.
Right. Yes.
For whether it be fantasy football, whether it be regular football, so many people out there putting out good content. So I'm so appreciative of the digital world and the content that we can just go
so
out
informed.
There and grab. Yeah, it is. It's really, really cool. As a matter of fact, for all you Syracuse football and basketball fans, particularly basketball fans here in Central New York, on Wednesday, we're going to have a Syracuse basketball insider. And he's going to join us to talk about, his name is Chris Carlson, and he writes for Syracuse.com, which is the big pub, the big website here in town that covers both news and sports in Central New York and in the Syracuse area. And he and a fellow writer who we know very well is also a basketball beat guy, Mike Waters, put together a pretty long form piece. These days, we don't see a lot of long form stuff, but this is a fairly long piece. It's a bit of a chore to read, but it's very, very interesting. And it's about a guy who I guess you'd call him a donor. who was working a few years ago with Jim Boeheim and the Syracuse basketball team. And the big thing about him, his name is Adam Weitzman. And Weitzman, his biggest claim to fame was that he was bringing national celebrities to Syracuse basketball games. He has courtside seats, and he was sitting alongside them. He brought Tom Brady here to Syracuse.
Jimmy Fallon,
Jalen Hurts, okay?
Yes.
And other big name
Giannis Antetokounmpo has come before,
right? So he went out and brought, and from all over the place, some athletes, some like rappers, just
celebrities,
entourage
people, yep.
And he was bringing them to, random Syracuse games and garnering, the excitement of the fans, and dare I say, even to some extent, the national media. All of a sudden, Jimmy Fallon's at a game. That's a photo. That's
notable.
That's a video that someone's going to get out there and it could go viral, et cetera, et cetera. So he was bringing these people to games, and he was also, again, behind the scenes, contributing some money to the NIL world to try to help Syracuse recruit players. And that was really at the beginnings of NIL, because this is a few years ago, about a year ago, right? I think it was around a year ago, Boy Green, or was it 2 seasons ago? I think it was just one full, maybe a season and a half ago.
Because I think Boeheim still was, I don't think he went at, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's at least through Autry, so it's a year and a half at least, if not more.
Yeah, it might be 2 years. But anyway, Adam Weitzman and the university couldn't agree with each other. And the next thing you know, Weitzman no longer had a courtside seat. He also had a luxury box too, no longer had a luxury box, and was no longer contributing to Syracuse, and it was spending his money in other places in the college sports world. So the piece that Chris and Mike wrote is about how that relationship fractured and trying to show both sides of the story, Adam Weitzman's side of the story and why it came apart, the university side of the story and why it came apart. And so university was responsive, but not completely responsive to it. Weitzman obviously was was answering the questions and giving information, and in some cases even provided some documentation, and it's all in the piece. So it's an interesting piece if you care about that stuff to go read it. Number one, it's on Syracuse.com. It was released, I think, this morning. I read it first thing this morning, and Chris Carlson is going to come on with us on Wednesday, and we're going to, dig into that reporting a little bit and talk about his perspective on what he found out. And I certainly still have some questions that weren't answered in the piece that I'm wondering if Chris either has an answer for me or it was asked and not answered, and that's why we don't have an answer in the piece. So that's coming up on Wednesday in our live show. So you definitely want to tune in for that, especially if you're a Central New Yorker and you care about the Syracuse program here in Central New York. So we're going to get to that as well. Another thing that I wanted to touch on, Boy Green, in the world of training camp is, they never stay out of the news, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, we know that guy right there, Micah Parsons, is still waiting for Jerry Jones and his son and the hierarchy there in Dallas to extend his contract. He has 1 year remaining on his rookie deal, and obviously he's played as one of the best defensive players in the league and is looking, to extend and to get a primo contract with lots of guarantees. Jerry Jones has been very cagey. He seems to be a guy that really takes his time with this kind of stuff. And so there's a bit of a standoff. Parsons is not too happy. Jerry is staying patient. And at training camp over the weekend, fans, when Jerry was speaking, started to chant, pay Micah, because it was one of those training camp sessions where the fans could attend and sit in the stands, as we get to see with our favorite teams. And so that got some national hubbub, dare I say, and some attention, because the fans are now starting to side with Parsons. So give me your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboy mess. Is this add to the elixir? Do you think that this moves Jerry Jones a little closer to getting this thing done, Boy Green? Can he even be influenced by his own fans?
Let me try to crack this code first. Stephen Jones gave this comment yesterday. Shout out to Nick Harris of the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys is Stephen Jones, the son of Jerry Jones, on the pay Micah chance from practice yesterday. Quote, "We want to pay Micah too. He has to want to be paid." End quote. Right? I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure what that means. Micah seems to have made it very obvious that he wants to be paid. So I'm not sure what Stephen Jones means here, but nonetheless, thank you for that.
I think it's probably a negotiating ploy where he's saying in a kind of coded way, we have an offer on the table. He has a different number in mind. Our numbers are not we want to pay Micah this bag. All right. He wants this bag. Okay. That's what it sounds like is
I
going
see.
on.
He has to
with
want to
Stephen
be
Jones.
paid the money we want to give him.
Yes.
I see. So
Right.
that's
there you go.
We'll see how. Thank you, Lerch. We're going to have to make that a running bit on this show, that we give you something that a sports personality has said, and you interpret it for us fans, because it's very difficult, Lerch. We don't have the complex brains that you have, so we need you to interpret these messages. So what Stephen Jones says, and you play low center, and what they really mean. So if you can do that in the future, Lerch, I think we'd appreciate that service.
Some of our viewers need to be
yeah.
decoded too, Boy Green. Can you decode a Hep, who's a lovely, lovely man?
Yeah.
And what is he saying here exactly? This is a Hepism, I suppose.
Yes, these are these are these are emojis that people can use on the channel, which we appreciate. And on StreamYard, they don't translate to on-screen emojis, so this is coding of what it means. So this wording that's coming up, if people are watching our show on YouTube or rewatching the show because the comments are available after the show, they will see
seeing emojis, but instead we're seeing some kind of description of emojis, some kind of code of the emojis.
Correct. The coding that goes behind them. So
right,
that's
pointing that out for me, Boy Green.
Yeah, of course.
What's Hep saying today? What's he up to? What's going on in that man's mind?
But I will say, to answer your question, the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history right now is T.J. Watt, who's making $41 million and change, which top Myles Garrett's number and Jamar Chase's number and things of that nature. I think Micah Parsons is unaffected by these other people getting their bag. Maybe it just increases the ceiling a little bit. But to me, I thought Micah Parsons was always going to set the market and set it by an insert amount of money, because he's younger than Myles Garrett. He's younger than TJ Watt. He's been incredibly productive. He's up there among the most productive pass rushers to start their first 4 years of their career. So to me, I thought Micah Parsons' number was always in the 45 million per year range on a per year basis, which would clearly make him the highest paid of all time. So I just don't know what the holdup is. It doesn't make sense. Jerry has operated this way for a long time. Dak Prescott's deal was this way. CeeDee Lamb's deal was this way. And there have been several other players of the past. If I will just say this one more time, if the Cowboys don't want to pay Micah Parsons, I know 31 other teams that would love to pay Micah Parsons. Maybe 30, because your Cincinnati Bengals over there, Lerch, have a little Velcro wallet action on paying people. So maybe most teams would pay him. But Parsons is a freak. This is the kind of guy, person, player, personality that you pay buco bucks, especially when you're the Dallas Cowboys and you put them on this mega platform all the time. It doesn't make sense, Lerch.
All right. By the way, Taylor says to me that wearing the jersey is one thing if you like the player, but the hat, Boy Green, I told you before the broadcast, this hat is killing my head anyway. So for you, Taylor, the hat is off. All right. You get my glorious dome here for the rest of the show. Okay. But I feel much better. It's one of those, one of those, what do we call it again? Flex fits. And it's flexing a little too tight on my head. So I'm actually relieved to remove the hat. So thank you for that, Taylor. I'll do it in your honor. Okay?
Well, Lerch, I would imagine it's very difficult to find a hat to contain all that brain you have all the time. So when you go to stores, it must be like
correct.
A
I'm trying to keep it in. Right. Try to keep it in. Otherwise, it's just
makes a lot of sense.
out of my ears, and we'd have a disgusting, despicable display, as the great Johnny Most once said. So any other big camp news, Boy Green, that I'm missing? We hit the New York teams. We got the Dallas situation, the Steelers situation. Is there anything else we want to mention before we move away from football camp talk? Again, we will be checking in this week and next week with some of our camp insiders and start checking particularly on the New York teams, Jets, Giants, Bills, and we'll get some perspective on how they feel camp is going so far and who are the standouts and who are struggling and so on and so forth.
Yeah, a quick carryover on the Cowboys. A sad story coming out this morning. Dallas Cowboys guard Rob Jones, who had been getting some run with the first team, he suffered a broken bone in his neck during Sunday's practice, which is going to keep him out 2 to 3 months. Could very well be the season, obviously. And when you're doing neck injuries, those are very serious. So, again, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, and I reiterate it, there's a lot of things that come with football: physicality, intensity. Injuries are are going to happen. Your old radio partner, Bud Poliquin, said this is a game that eats its young, and that's 100% true. And, the tally rate is only going to increase as we continue to put pads on here. So for me, again, where thoughts are out to Rob Jones. Again, he was a guy who was getting some starting reps with the Dallas Cowboys offensive line during training camp. Obviously, they've had a lot of changes. Tyron Smith retiring, Zach Martin retiring. So there's a lot of new names happening there. I hate injuries, but they are part of the game. So thoughts to Rob Jones, and there's been several other big injuries, but that's the one that's probably the most notable at this point.
Yeah, sad stories. We get the same too. We always get sad stories during training camp. We've lost a bunch of musicians in the last bunch of days. Some big names, celebrities, obviously
icons,
Ozzy going last week. We talked a little bit about that on one
Hulk
of our
Hogan,
shows.
of course, who's
Hulk
not a
Hogan
musician, obviously.
Just recently. And by the way, tease forward might as well, since we're talking about Hulk Hogan. We are this week dropping some great content. Tell people about the WWE guy that we're bringing on, Boy Green. Yes, we do dabble in wrestling, and we got a great one. Joey Carney is going to join us. He's awesome. We have had him on our radio show before, so this will be his first digital appearance with us, and he's going to talk to us all about SummerSlam, and obviously we'll have some part of our conversation will be about the passing of Hulk Hogan.
Yes, I know we have a lot of crossover with my channel, specifically with Jet fans and wrestling fans. And yes, Joey Carney, he has like over 100,000 combined followers across his social media portals. He's an absolutely massive wrestling guy. We have the first time in history, 2-day, 2-night SummerSlam event. Normally it's only on a singular day each year. This time it's expanding WrestleMania style to the entire weekend. It's for both of us, Jets Giants, at MetLife Stadium. So that's going to be awesome for them to return over there. So big names are going to be involved. It's going to be pretty cool. So yes, as you guys will see, we're going to dabble in a lot of different stuff. I know we have a lot of wrestling fans. I know SummerSlam is a massive event, so it'll be cool to sometimes cover some of these tentpole events in the world of wrestling. And Joey Carney, I imagine, will be our main squeeze for a lot of it. He will be a credentialed media member for this SummerSlam, so he'll be able to give us all kinds of unparalleled access, which is going to be awesome. So shout out to Joey Carney. That's going to be awesome. And like I said, you guys are going to get a little bit of every flavor here on the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital here.
Yeah, speaking of flavors, David Wright will be joining us this week as well. If it's not a household name, David Wright is a two-time former contestant on Survivor. He was not picked for the big anniversary 50th edition, but we're going to talk to him all about season 50 and how the path of Survivor has gone since he's been on the show. He's a really, really, really good guy. We have, again, talked to him in the past on all things Survivor. Very, very unique viewpoint on the game of Survivor. And if you watch David, particularly in his first season, I mean, this was a guy that was like kind of scared of his own shadow.
Yes, very much.
And he has turned out, in two different seasons of Survivor, to completely find his confidence. He's now a very successous writer. I think he's joining us from California. Is that where he is, Boy Green?
He is. Yeah, so he'll be joining us from California. By the way, so the Joey Carney interview, will not be live, but our David Wright conversation will be. That'll be tomorrow, as a matter of fact, live at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. And David Wright, he will be finishing up a breakfast and then joining us with a pre-planned event that he had. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. So again, Survivor crossover, wrestling crossover. It's, quite frankly, Lerch, this has always been the brand of the show forever. A mix of pop culture, a mix of sports, and really everything that's trending in the world.
Well, you see it above us, right? Sports, entertainment, digital. That's pretty much what we are. I mean, we just go out there and look for things that are entertaining, things that amuse us in some way. You and I mean, I'm not the wrestling savant that I once was, but I loved wrestling back in its heyday. And wrestling continues to grow and get bigger. And I run into people in public all the time that are huge wrestling fans. And so you can't ignore it. I mean, it's a fun, entertaining world. And when there are big events like SummerSlam and WrestleMania, we're going to touch on it. And so that's exactly what we're doing. And Joey Carney is fantastic. So he's going to be great. And for anybody that has followed us over the years on the radio side of things, we have been, both you and I discovered, I worked with another partner for over 16 years. And then Boy Green, who was our intern, then our producer, became my co-host about 8-ish years ago. And we just discovered very early in just talking to each other in the studio that we both love Survivor, that we both watched Survivor regularly. And then I think it was you that brought it up to me. He was like, hey, Lerch, why don't we start bringing on like people from Survivor? I think we could get like former contestants and have them break down the episode. And I was like, oh, that sounds like an awesome idea. We could build a segment around it. And so we did. And we were doing Survivor every Thursday coming off the Wednesday episode. As it turned out, we went out and searched the landscape to try and find somebody. And we came across this guy named Brett LaBelle. Brett is a cop from Boston. He was on the Millennials versus Gen X season. He made it all the way to the Final Four.
Yep.
So we got to learn a lot about Brett watching him in the episode. And I was like, boy, he'd probably be good. He's got that Boston accent, and he's a cop, and he's going to have his own takes. He seemed like a pretty opinionated guy on the show. So it's like, this might really work. So we track him down, and he says, yes, I'll do it. We do our one interview with him because we're thinking, hey, next week we're going to go find like a David Wright, or we're going to go find somebody from season 3 or something.
Of course.
We'll just go out and solicit some of these former survivors and see if they'd be willing to kind of, come on with us. Brett does week 1 with us, and we have a great time with him. And after the interview, he's on hold with our producer, and he says, hey, tell the guys if you want, I'll come back again next week. So we end up calling him back off air and said, oh, you want to come back next week? And he's like, yeah, as a matter of fact, if you want me every week, I'll come on every week with you guys. And we were like, what? Did we just solve our Survivor issue here? And so Brett has been doing it with us for, I don't know, 7 years, 8 years, however long it's been.
At least.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And he does every episode during Survivor season when it's going on. But now Brett is doing us an even more solid. He's very, very plugged into the Survivor family. So he's hooking us up with other people who are friends of his in the Survivor world, and they're going to be adding their perspective. So we're going to get back to Brett, and Brett will be a regular on the show when the season's going on. But we're also going to reach out and branch out and talk to some of the other cast members from other seasons and get their perspective. So we'll try and find some of the more popular players and do some entertaining stuff with them. We've once had Johnny Fairplay on the show. That was
oh my God, I can't believe that. That is unbelievable.
So
we'll have to have him back too.
Yeah.
And I would also say this, Brett will have to tell the story eventually. When I first reached out to Brett, he thought it was a scam. He thought it was trying to, get his money. I don't even know what he thought.
Right. That's what he was like. Why are we doing this? What are you doing here? Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah. What are your intentions?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? My intentions are quite clear. I'm recapping a Survivor episode on a week-to-week basis. What do you mean? So yeah, there's some compelling stuff there where you have to hear that story from him. But yes, David Wright will be live tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. on all these channels that you're currently enjoying us on. So make sure you guys, if you're watching live or after the fact, it all counts the same. Like the video on YouTube, hit subscribe to the channel. So yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. So a lot of cool Survivor content.
Bradshaw wants to know, is there any chance we'll be dabbling in UFC content? Boy Green, we can explain our perspective on this. I'll offer my thoughts.
Okay.
I have a lot of respect for what UFC has become in the world, and it has in some ways kind of taken that hole that boxing has left. I know boxing still exists, but it just doesn't exist like it used to be. Boxing used to be one of the biggest sports in America. And I'm glad to say that I lived through that period. But boxing has been obliterated in terms of being, a television sport these days. And UFC has kind of jumped into at least a piece of that role. They haven't become what boxing once was, but they've become relevant in some way. Boy Green loves UFC, and he has a pretty fair knowledge base of UFC stuff. Usually when we have UFC stuff, I just defer to him. My problem with UFC, Bradshaw, is just simply that I just find it to be too disgustingly violent. Pummeling a guy while you have him in a chokehold on the ground just seems to me like what I used to go through when I grew up in Queens, okay? That's what people used to do to me, or I used to do to other people when I didn't like what they were doing and they didn't like what I was doing. So I've been through those wars. I don't want to live through them again. I'm a very nonviolent person these days. And so the violence of UFC, like boxing, you got gloves and there's a kind of people are
a gentlemanly nature.
I don't know to call it that, but because boxing, these guys can unload. I wouldn't want to be in a ring with any real boxers. I'd be done for. So boxing's incredibly dangerous, but UFC is just there's this brutalness to it that barbaric. I just personally have had a hard time gravitating to. So, like when a guy's, I'm like, oh, okay, I have to look away. So Boy Green's more into it than me, but I'm always open if something matters to do it. So the long answer to your question, or the short answer to your question, Brandon, is yes, from time to time, and Boy Green will carry the load, and I'll become more of the interviewer, and he'll become more of the interviewee because he follows it in a much higher level than I do.
Yeah, I'm a massive MMA fan. I've been watching since the 90s, but I would say that really sports, right? Me and Lerch both sports guys. Okay, that's very obvious. But when we've dabbled in waters that are non-sports, the commonality to get us there is that we were both fans. Me and Lerch were both fans of Survivor. Okay, that happened. And this thing I'm about to say is also sports related, but it's also different. It wasn't a part of the show when it was Jim Lerch and Butter the Manchild. Fantasy football. We were both fantasy football fans, so there was a commonality to expand it further. In UFC, sort of as everything Lerch just described, there's not the same interest level from both of us, so it may be difficult to do it. Now, Lerch is a great generalist, so if a massive event comes up, like Survivor Season 50, and there's a UFC version of it, which there have been several times
I'm always
years,
open to big events.
we could always do one-spot shots, but if I'm being candid, it probably won't be a main flavor of something that we do now or moving forward.
Right. So it might be an odd interview here or there because it matters. There's something big going on, but probably not in a regular basis. But great questions. I love that people are probing us and interviewing us and want to know more about what it is we're going to be doing. We've only been here for a month. Again, to repeat for those that weren't with us earlier, we've reached a landmark. In a month, we've had already 20,000 views. Our subscribers are slowly growing. Again, I'm going to remind you, let our subscribership grow more quickly, more readily, and you could have a chance, if I put it right side up instead of upside down, to win this David Tyree autographed The Catch beautiful photo. Matted and framed. I will give you the mat and the frame along with it, and you can put it in your, man cave or whatever it is that you have at home. And it's a wonderful, wonderful piece. And once we get to 300 subscribers, which are only about 120-ish away, a little less than 120 away, then we will give that away to one of those 300 people. And there are other things we're going to continue to give away as well. So for subscribing, number one, you're in the pool already. And if you can find some other people who you think would like our content, whether you have brothers, sisters, friends, please send them to our channel. It's super easy to just copy and paste our link and let them subscribe to us as well. The more we grow our subscribers, the more relevant we're going to be in this digital space. And it's all up to you. You guys are going to either make us relevant or irrelevant. Hopefully we're doing enough good content that you make us more relevant.
Yeah, you guys can keep the questions coming. I want to answer a few more here. So Bradshaw asks, is there a way, Paul, for us to see the video of you guys interviewing Johnny Fairplay? Number one, it wasn't a video.
It was an audio. Right. Yep.
But here's the thing that I love, and this is one of the big reasons we got into this digital world, on top of a number of things. In our audio world, there were restrictions. We had to store all the audio somewhere and how much space. And there was all these questions. The obvious move with digital is that on YouTube, we have unlimited space. Every interview we've ever done from the very beginning of the Manchild Lerch Boy Green Digital to yesterday, today, all these interviews, David Wright, you could watch it live if someone's available at 1:30. But if you're not, no worries. It's on the replay. Click and watch whenever you want. It's on demand. So that was an exciting part of this digital jump. Again, I love radio. I will always love radio. It's always going to be a part of my life, and even more so for Lerch, who's been doing it far longer than me. But I think a really exciting thing for me about the digital world is the fact that all of our stuff is readily available for all of you. And we can answer any other questions that you guys have. But so many people are like, geez, where's this interview? Where's this interview in radio world? And that was very difficult. Now it's seamless. It's easier than ever. So we do not have that one, but I would imagine Johnny Fairplay has not made his final appearance on our airwaves, Lerch, together.
The good thing is having him in the digital world. One of the things we were extremely concerned about having Johnny Fairplay in the radio world, in the terrestrial radio world, was Johnny Fairplay, dare I say, he's a little, he can get colorful. A little colorful. They're great. That's the word I'm looking for. Colorful. In the digital space, if Johnny wants to get colorful and drop a few, expletives, we're okay with it.
Yeah,
because there's no fines to be levied and no firings to be had. So in the radio world, the conventional radio world, that could be a problem. So we have to kind of tell Johnny in advance, Johnny, we're very excited about you, but you can't be full blown Johnny Fairplay.
Let's keep the F-bombs to a minimum.
Yeah, right. So, but Johnny in the digital world, look out, we might be a little more, dare I say, McAfeean. Is that a word?
So wait, is this going to be the Manchild Show of Boy Green Digital after dark? Is that
yeah, it'll be something like that. Wright is not colorful. He's colorful in different ways, but not dropping four-letter words.
I don't anticipate
but
that.
But Fairplay is quite the character. But we'll definitely try to have him on again. He was very, very interesting, and
for sure,
he was a lot of fun. So we'll definitely seek out some of the colorful people. I thought Tiffany Seeley was fascinating.
Oh my gosh, she was great.
A couple of weeks ago. Go back and watch that interview. We interviewed her about season 50, and she's colorful, and gosh, I think she was actually flirting with us.
That was very apparent, which I can't blame her.
She offered to come back and do a show just completely in a bikini. I mean, there were
stock up. Sure.
Yeah. There was some internet, dare I say, clickbait kind of opportunities.
No shame there. Yeah. so Tiffany will definitely be making it.
There are plenty of characters out there in the Survivor world, and we will bring them to you. We're very
can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
This week,
I'm really excited to expand our universe there, Larry.
All right. Last thing on my agenda for today, Boy Green, is what happened over the weekend in Cooperstown. Cooperstown's only about an hour and a half, maybe a little less than 2 hours from good old central New York and Syracuse, where we live. And they had the big induction ceremony, the newest inductees, 5 of them total. One of the ones I was most excited about, and it's too bad that it ends up being a posthumous induction, was Dave Parker, a guy that I watched when I was younger, playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was he was an all-star, it seemed like, every year. He had a cannon of an arm in the outfield. He's a big guy for a baseball player. And just really had these athletic qualities that I hadn't seen in a player in a long, long time. He was inducted posthumously. Ichiro was inducted, a guy that once had a career, overseas, and then, made his way to America, and still, I think Ichiro, got to 3,000 hits. And so he's in. There's the class right there. Billy Wagner, you see to the left. So that's Wagner, and that's Ichiro, the two closest to the left side of the screen. So really, it's that CC Sabathia, the former Yankee in the middle there.
Yep.
CC shed a few. He's looking rather svelte.
Yeah, I used to make fun of him for being fat.
Yep. Yeah, he was always being teased a little bit about being a little bit overweight, and he's not. And Dick Allen also was inducted, and Dave Parker. So that's the lineup that we're seeing across the screen right there. Always exciting time of year. We get this every year in central New York, and a lot of people make the pilgrimage, Boy Green. I'll just let you touch on it if you want to say something about Baseball Hall of Fame induction weekend.
Yeah, it's special. I mean, look at this. Look at this class. The class was a lot of fun. If you guys got a chance to hear the speeches again, same sort of thing that we do here.
Ichiro spoke very good English and was cracking jokes left and right.
The jokes were great. And again, it's funny because, I go to Rush Hour, right? So Ichiro made these jokes people were like, oh, you can't understand English. And then all of a sudden he starts breaking out English. You're like, oh, geez. In the movie Rush Hour with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, at the beginning of the very first Rush Hour movie, Chris Tucker's talking to Jackie Chan. He's saying, can you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? And Jackie Chan just pretended because he didn't want to engage with Chris Tucker because he thought he was this wild personality. So he just pretended like he couldn't speak English. Then out of nowhere, he just started talking English. Chris Tucker's like, what the hell? So there was some really funny moments during the speech. Again, I've had a interesting, radio history with talking about CC Sabathia on the radio and a Yankee and all that garbage.
Right.
So I wasn't a massive fan of CC, but I'm glad to see him get in. And the thing I keep seeing all over my social media alerts is how proud, I'll talk about CC here for a second, that how proud he is of being in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, this morning he tweeted, "I woke up a Hall of Famer," and he last night he was like, "I'm officially first ballot today." He's just really proud of it. And to me, I love these athletes put so much into their careers, the legacies, the hard work. It's the integrity that these players did all the hard work when cameras weren't on. And when they were on, all the layers and flavors that are there to lead to this moment, to be immortalized in history. There is no greater honor in any sport than your own sports Hall of Fame, obviously.
Sure.
So this was terrific. Great class. And again, I speak to my Pro Football Hall of Fame days of covering that event. And, back in the old days, there were no rules on speeches. So you could go for 45 minutes. It could get boring. It could be blah. Right. Now you sort of, there's the music, let's move it along. And people have just gotten better. So some classes are better than others. I thought this class in particular, when they're cracking the mics and making the right kinds of comments, there's just a lot of great here.
Yeah, we've talked about it in the past. It is nice to see players really grateful for the honor. And we had a special one right here in Central New York, Floyd Little, who
Of
we mentioned
course.
a couple of weeks ago on the show. Unfortunately, Floyd's not with us anymore, but a guy that was so grateful to get in. It took a long time for Floyd to get in. Probably should have been in years before he finally got in. But we talked about it. He used to wear his gold jacket around the house. And when he would come in to do interviews with us in studio, because a lot of times he was in the greater Central New York area, he would come in the gold jacket. I was like, Floyd, did you ever take that thing off? But he was so appreciative of being part of that family, being part of that collective. So it is really, really nice to see folks like CC Sabathia embrace it, really, really appreciate it, know that it really means something to them, which is why it always drives me crazy that guys that are inevitably deserving too often get put in posthumously. And, it's just a shame, that Dave Parker, it was not there to deliver his own speech. And we've seen it time and time and time again. Buck O'Neill, one of the great,
Of course.
Wade posthumously. My goodness, that guy.
It's one of my number one pet peeves, Lurch.
Yeah.
We talked about it on the shows for a
Get
long
guys,
time.
if guys are deserving, get them in while they're on the planet.
What are we
Let
waiting
them
for?
have their moment. Let them
Of
have
course.
their speech. There's a Floyd in his jacket. Look at him with the beautiful little flower on the lapel.
Oh my God, the
Probably
smile.
still
And
has
again,
that
the same
flower.
thing. He was so proud of it. He would wear the Hall of Fame hat. He would wear the Hall of Fame ring. He'd wear the gold jacket. He'd say, "Hey, Paul, do you want to wear the ring?" Like the fact that I even knew Floyd Little a little, which we got to do over the last, whatever it was, 10, 12 years of getting to run into Floyd, do interviews with him in person, and his wonderful wife, Deborah, and the foundation in Floyd Little's honor. It's just so beautiful. It's so cool. And again, to your point, seeing Floyd and how proud he was of it really reinstills a belief I already had about posthumously inducting guys, saying, man, look how much it meant to him and the life that he was able to enjoy with being a member of that, elite fraternity.
Right.
Man, so many people deserve to have that same moment in the sun.
Yeah, stuff matters, man. So it's awesome that it matters. Bradshaw asking for Rupert and Ethan in the show. If we want to get more Survivor people,
selection.
Rupert would be awesome.
Oh yeah, I've seen his videos. He's been putting up videos.
Ethan's got an amazing backstory.
Of course,
with
overcoming cancer,
and all that. So he'd be a great one. So good food.
We'll put him on the list.
Sure, just keep throwing suggestions out there, because there definitely are people in that Survivor community that we want to track down. And if there are people that you really want to hear from, obviously, we aims to please. We didn't get to 20,000 views in a month because we were doing stuff that we wanted and only we wanted. One of the things I learned a long, long time ago in being in television and radio and having a 30-year plus career in both is that you operate for an audience. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We are here certainly to provide our insights and our thoughts, but we operate for you. And you have to and should always be an influence on what it is that we're doing, what it is that we're covering, the topics that we're hitting. And I don't think it's ever been more true in this digital world. So your suggestions are welcome. Your comments are welcome. It's a very, very welcoming environment. So feel free, again, when we're doing live shows like this, even when we have, we're dropping recorded interviews, to put stuff in the comments. We'll try to be responsive to you. And we want to know what you think, what you feel, etc. So it's an open dialogue. We want it to be a dialogue, and that's one of the really cool things about doing digital, is that we have a dialogue. Like literally, you are talking to us while we're here. We literally, it's like you're a third person in the room. Hey, what'd you say over there? Okay, cool. So really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, and I would say this, even on the videos that are posted after the fact, we'll respond to your comments. So, send your comments in on our pre-recorded videos as well. Tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. And it's great to hear from Bradshaw here saying, y'all are doing great work, fellas. Really enjoying the content at work, especially during these overtime hours. So great. Any way in which we can be of service is what we want to be. So Bradshaw, salute, pal.
All right. One last time. Don't forget, pass the word along. All right. Subscribers we looking for. All right. David Tyree picture in the house, going out of my house. Once we get to 300 subscribers, We need about a little more than 100 more subscribers to get to our magic number to give this away. I want to get it out of here and get it given away sooner rather than later. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know. Again, today's broadcast brought to you by our friends at Crest Cadillac. Great, great people. If you're looking for your next Cadillac, think about our friends at Crest Cadillac. Jim Barr and his crew are fantastic. Boy Green, as I always do, final thoughts are yours, my friend.
It's awesome. We're getting deeper here. We only again, it's going to be August at the end of this week. I cannot believe that whatsoever. So we're enjoying these live shows. We have a ton of content coming up in a variety of spheres this week: wrestling, Survivor, NFL, Syracuse. I mean, we're going to be checking off a lot of boxes. And the great thing is, you guys can consume what you want and choose not to consume what you don't want. So I hope you guys. There's a flavor for everybody here. That's what I like to say. So the target demo is everyone. I think there's a lot of different stuff that people could vibe with. And I would even say this, Lerch, my advice or insights or my Bob Barker at the end of Price is Right, my Julie Chen Moonves at the end of Big Brother, my little piece of advice is be open-minded. Right? Yeah. Like Survivor or this or that. If you don't really have a stake in the game, give it a whirl and say, oh, this is kind of interesting, then jump on the train. Because, like, for instance, our Brett LaBelle interviews, this isn't official yet, but, you know, the shows are normally 90 minutes, starts at 8 o'clock, ends at 9:30. Maybe we just do immediately a recap instead of waiting till the next morning. Then you could get involved in the live content show. So I'm really looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we're again putting a lot of things in place in that regard. By the way, we're live quite a bit this week. We're live again on Wednesday as usual. Although we're actually not as usual. We're going to be a little bit earlier. So one of us has a time conflict. So we're going to do our live show on Wednesday at 9, right, Boy Green? 9 a.m.
Yes, correct.
Right? So we're going to be 2 hours early on Wednesday. Our normal spot's going to be 11, but this week it has to be 9 so that both of us could be here for you. So Wednesday is going to be a 9 o'clock live. So mark that down in your calendar. We are doing a live show tomorrow with David Wright. That show is going to start at 1:30. So we're going to be live. So if you want to talk to David, throw questions up there in the comments. We'll pass them along, throw them up on the screen just like we do during our live show. So David Wright tomorrow is a live show at 1:30. And Friday we'll be live again with our fantasy football expert, Joe Bartle. Yes. Is going to mostly every week is going to be a scheduled live on Fridays at 10:30 in the morning. So you're getting a little bit more of the live stuff with us. So you can be very interactive with us while we're actually doing these interviews and contribute yourself. So we've got a busy week this week. Live tomorrow, David Wright, 1:30. Live 9 o'clock on Wednesday. Live again on Friday at 10:30.
10:30. Yes, and to
we'll
your
also
point,
be dropping some other content as well during this week. So really, really busy week.
Yeah, Bud Poliquin, Joey Carney on top of everything else we just had. Correct. So, man, we have a ton of content. I hope you guys are really digging it. So make sure you show your support. And again, like the video, hit subscribe.
All right. So do it. Folks, thanks as always. Great to be with you. And we will see you again soon, live tomorrow at 1:30. Peace out.